Okay, so I wanted to make a video on this because I could not find anywhere how to do this. No diagrams, no YouTube videos, nothing. This is the center console armrest storage compartment for the 2011 528i BMW. Pretty much could get every screw out from what I saw on YouTube, except for this right here. This was hidden underneath the center console where the stick shift is. I didn't take a video as I started to figure it out, but I'm going to try and take a video as I put it back together so you can see what I couldn't find on YouTube. Hope it helps. Okay, so this is actually the storage compartment that goes inside of it. I would like to take apart the least amount as possible, so I didn't have to disconnect any of this in order to do this project. So basically, I just fed this through to take it out, just so I didn't have to disconnect too many things. So you can kind of just feed it through there. It probably would be easier if you had it out of the way, but I just don't like taking things apart that I don't have to. So that just kind of slides underneath there. The really difficult part was getting to this right here because it sits underneath the center stick shift. Sorry, I'm not really like mechanical inclined, but I do like taking things apart and figuring out how to do them, so that's why we are where we are. Okay, so this is probably a better angle. This is where it screws into. Let's see if I can get under there for you to see. It screws into that hole right there, which is underneath the center stick shift, which I will show you how to access, but I'm gonna have to do it in reverse order just because I didn't think of this ahead of time, and then I was like, wow, should have recorded it. So this is basically gonna slide into place. I don't have anybody helping me video record, so I may have to stop and start a couple times, so just be patient. Okay, so in order to do this, these back parts need to be fished in first, and then once that's in, you need to kind of just pull this to the side until this right here. You need to pull it to the side until you're able to line it up with this hole. Move it out of the way until you can get to it. And then you should see there's a screw bolt over here and one over here. So I'm going to put this bolt back in, and then I'll show you in reverse order how I got to it. Okay, so this has a torque bit screw. I'm not sure the size, but they were all pretty much the same size screw, which was nice, except for a couple of the bolts. So that's going to be the first screw that will go in for the center console. The rest of the screws will go in later after I show you how to now put the center stick shift area back in. You're not going to get many technical terms on this video, but hopefully it will still help you. Okay, the next piece that was essential for getting this out was removing this piece here. It's best to do it once everything is taken apart in the center console. You're able to get to the screws a little bit better. So I'm going to try and show you how to put that back in. First, you're going to feed this piece in first towards the front, and then clear the leather door. And then it's going to secure here where the screw is here. And it pretty much just sits in there. And I'm going to go to the other side and show you the screws that attach this piece. Okay, I'm now on the passenger side so we can get a look at this angle here. One of the screws is here, again a torque screw. And the other one is up here, so it attaches with two torque screws if you want to get that piece off. And I just use a torque screwdriver. Can definitely use power tools, will make it a little bit easier, but this is what I had on hand. There's one. Here is the second one. It's placed high up. And screw that in, and those are the only two things holding that piece on, but in order to get the screwdriver in there, you really need to have everything out of the way. So do that last. Okay, the last bolts that needed to come out for this shifter to get out of my way were here and here. Those were the last two that I took out when I disassembled it. Okay, these are what the bolts look like. It looks like the bit is a 7/16. My husband actually grabbed this size for me. I would say before you put those bolts in, just make sure you're lined up. You have a screw here and here and here. So you kind of just want to make sure those holes are lined up. Maybe do everything loosely until you are ready to secure it down. Definitely having power tools made this a lot easier, went very quickly. I don't think I have it quite lined up. Let me retry that. Okay, it's really hard to film and do screwing in everything at the same time. But anyway, I put these two bolts in loosely with the 7/16, and I'm going to go ahead and move to the rest of the screws. Okay, this is your next set of 4 screws, and they're going to go here, 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 and here. And they're all the same size screw. Number 3 and 4. Now that you have everything nice and tight, make sure you go back and do these 2 bolts and just lock everything down. Okay, I'm not 100% sure if it was necessary to take this screw out here, but I had taken it out in the disassembly, so I'd just go ahead and take it out just so you don't have to worry about it later. I guess that's a problem with being a DIYer instead of really having knowledge about this stuff. I usually do find most of my stuff on YouTube, and if I can find someone else who's tackled it, I'll go ahead and do it. But unfortunately, this particular job, I found pieces of it, but I just couldn't find 100% how to do this. So I went ahead and take that screw out, so I'm just showing you how to put it back in before you put this cover back on. Now my car is on at the time that I'm filming this. I'm in South Florida, so it's quite hot. No matter what you do, I don't recommend having it on while you're working on all this stuff, but you're going to turn this to the side. I was just indicating that that's probably why you're seeing the lights and things like that, if you're noticing, or maybe you hear the air conditioning in the background. So you're going to put this back on now. It's also a good walkthrough for getting to these buttons, which I did find picked up on another video, which kind of helped me get to this point. I kind of used pieces of things I was able to find and go from there. So you want to make sure this is seated correctly. There's a little clip here that kind of guides you, and then just make sure that all of the holes line up so we can screw this back down, which I'll show you next. Okay, next we have 5 screws. They go here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, I recommend just getting these in loosely, get all of them in, and then go back and tighten. Again, I apologize if this is a little choppy. I don't have a helping hand today to help me video. Okay, now I actually have all 5 screws in. You want to just go back and make sure they're all tight. Okay, well, if you're doing this video in reverse, apparently there was no screw in this hole. When I went to go add the ashtray in, I realized I was a screw short. So yeah, this screw right here in the center console. So I guess it's just the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I'll get to that later. Sorry for the confusion. But you probably got to the point, if you're taking yours apart, that you notice there's no screw there. Or maybe yours does have a screw there and someone's been in here doing work before and they just never put the screw back. But for me, when I took pictures before I began, each step I always take pictures if I have to refer back, and there was not a screw in this hole, so I'm going to need that to secure my ashtray. So if you have a screw in there, obviously you're going to need to take it out, and if you don't, then maybe it doesn't belong there, but I couldn't really tell you. So going in reverse order, I did realize there's a couple screws that I did have to unscrew to get this center console out. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the fabric piece again. You don't have to remove it completely, but these two clips here are the last thing that you do to remove it. So again, I'm just going to get this out of my way and show you what screws are required to get this center piece out at this point. It's not a bad idea that I took the felt compartment and put it back in, because it did make it a little easier to work while I was working with the center console. But going back now, there is a screw right here that needs to be removed to get this console out. Again, all these Torx screws are the same size, so it does make it nice that you're only needing the one screwdriver or bit to get this job done. Then in the rear of the console, you have two more screws here and here. Again, the same size Torx screw. Once you have those in, you can go ahead and tighten them up. This will be the last screw that goes in before your felt piece is placed back in. It's a black screw, same size Torx though. Okay, now we're ready to put the felt piece in. Okay, I think now it's safe to go ahead and put this piece in. Again, just make sure you have the felt underneath this center console piece. And then it does push in. You gotta give it a little push, but it does push its way in. Okay, and then it kind of just clips into place. There's a little felt piece that fits over here. And these clips go back in here, so if you were going to take it out, you would push these in. Sorry, it's hard to get a shot of the clips. But these two clips here, you're going to push them with your fingers, and then this whole thing just pops out. Okay, so in reverse, you're just pushing it back in. Okay, your next screw is going to be down here, another silver Torx screw. And you can go ahead and tighten that all the way once you get that in. The next screw is here to hold down the front of the storage compartment. And you can go ahead and screw that in tightly. There's one more screw here in the front. It's a black Torx screw. You can go ahead and screw that into place. Okay, now you want to go ahead and close your console lids so they're out of the way for this next part. Okay, so this whole console needs to tip forward to get it into place. Okay, so to get this in, you're going to have to go up really high, and you just want to make sure that this piece here is on the inside of the leather so you don't scratch anything. Same on both sides. And once you have that in, you're able to just get it into place at the very top. That's all you have to worry about for now. Okay, so at this point I'm going to go ahead and reattach my ashtray and connect the two wires that I disconnected, and I'll show you a close-up of those when I get to them. So if you're like me and you don't want to disconnect too many wires, you're going to need to take the ashtray out at this point, which for me is putting the ashtray back in. We have 4 screws attaching this to the console. Okay, so I kind of have this propped up with a screwdriver so you can see. The reason why I took the ashtray out, as I said before, is because this wire, I wasn't too sure how to disconnect it, and instead of going that route, I just did the ashtray. So 1, 2, 3. Can't quite see the other one. 4 screws on the back side there. And that'll just remove the ashtray so it's out of your way and you don't have to deal with the electrical wires. Okay, so I'm ready to reconnect the electrical wires. I now have my car off. This one just snaps in here pretty easy. Okay, so this is going to go right here, and again, it just, let's see if I can get a better angle. It just wiggles right out. It was pretty easy, and that just snaps right into place. So this wire here, this electrical wire here, and then I took off the ashtray, and that gave me enough leverage to lift the console so I could set it on the passenger side so it was out of my way to work. So if you're doing this video, I'm obviously going in reverse, so I apologize again for that, but there are really no videos out there how to do this. I couldn't even find any diagrams on how to do this just to get this center console piece out. So I'm going in reverse order now that I know how to do it, and this basically just snaps into place. You want to make sure that the top is really in there well before you start snapping it into place. This center console has pretty resilient snap-in clips, so you don't really have to worry too much about breaking it. So I'm just going to push them back in at this time. So once you have the top lined up, you're just going to go down and press them all in. I may have already clipped the majority of mine in before I hit record, but you're just going to push it all into place. If you're going in reverse order, well, I'm going in reverse order, you're going to be going in the normal order. You'd have to open up these doors in order to access this framing right here, and use a plastic pry tool so you don't break or scratch your wood. And this just pops up. So I'll try and show you here so you can know. And then you're just going to go down the side and into this area. I've already taken this screw out, but that's something that you'll have to do in order to remove the center console. Everything else is clips all down the side here, in the front, and down this side as well. It's all clipped into place. So remove that one screw, use this to pry it up, and I'm actually putting it back together. And I think I have it. Just go down and check the entire piece to make sure it's secure. And now we're ready to put this last screw in. Okay, final screw for me, probably the first screw for you if you're coming across this video and trying to do it in reverse. Another torque screw. I attempted this project a couple times without success just because I could not find the breakdown for how to do things. But here it all is, finished. We bought this car for my son, and just wanted to replace this because it was completely cracked, which you'll probably see on the thumbnail. But all done. Okay, not all done. I forgot to put this piece on. This kind of just clips, just pops up. Use a plastic pry tool here to remove this. The video that I watched said, you know, it just pops out, that it's not too difficult to do. You can get it here and underneath here. I actually wound up breaking the clips on one side, so I'm probably going to have to reorder this piece. So be careful. Just lift straight up if possible. Don't lean it to the front or to the back, but it goes in quite well, and it's all finished.